Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family. Question. Today I want to ask you, are you a stingy person? Why is that question important? Let us examine the meaning of stingy. If a person is stingy, it means that the person is mean and the person is reluctant to part with his money and he's probably a miser. And because he's a miser, he is unwilling to share and unwilling to give. He's not a generous person and also maybe at times very penny pinching. Sometimes children are also stingy because they do not want to share their toys. What is the opposite of stingy? Well, generous, liberal, a person who is very willing to give, a person who is magnanimous, a person who is hospitable, is not selfish. And there are times when a person may even be lavish, spendthrift, and wasteful. So, what about us examining ourselves? Are we stingy, and if so, to what extent? Or are we the opposite, lavish, very giving, and love to share, very hospitable? This question of whether we are stingy or not stingy is very important to our overall financial well-being. Why is that so? Because when a person is stingy, it also determines his character or her character. That person will behave in society and with friends in a certain manner. And friends may not come out and tell you straight in the face that you are stingy, but among themselves, they know who is a stingy poker. Have you ever been called a stingy poker by friends? Maybe relatives or your spouse may say, hey, don't be so stingy. Just spend some money and give yourself a good time. You deserve it. There are people who have money, but they do not want to spend because they're always worried about that rainy day. They were taught about saving and putting money aside for that rainy day. But what does rainy day actually means? Well, it could be calamitous or something calamities or something which you did not expect that has happened. However, how much should you set aside for a rainy day? Different people have different amounts. I really think, after doing some studies and talking to friends, that our behavior of our degree of stinginess, why we are stingy in certain ways, why we are reluctant to spend money, why we are sometimes not as hospitable as we should be, comes from the time many years ago, how we were brought up in our belief system and our value about earnings, about money, about spending, and even about investing and making our money grow. So, stinginess and the opposite of stinginess has a lot to do with our ultimate financial situation. If you're a person who is generous, people will know that they will associate with you, they will refer you to positive things. But if you're a stingy, miserly person, it will also affect you in terms of your work, in terms of your business growth, in terms of your finances. Since you're stingy to others, they will also be stingy to you. I believe every action has got an equal and opposite reaction. But are you aware of it? Are you conscious of it? Most people are not. Even when I watch little kids and sometimes my grandchildren when they play, they are stingy and are reluctant to share their toys. So from a very young age, that has already developed. So the stinginess does not come from whether you have money in the family or money in your bank. And a lot of this also comes from the early days of our own scarcity, because our parents who has gone through the Second World War, they remember that they had to eat very sparingly. Even my wife, her family, her parents only had one income, and they have 7 siblings. So there are 9 people in her family eating and sharing and living on one income, and that is the income of her late father, who was a school teacher. Now, if you go back the years, how much does a school teacher earn? So she had limited resources in terms of her meals, and there were not enough food in the house. For example, I discovered after marrying her that she loves to eat eggs. And then she told me in her young days as a kid, there were not enough eggs in the family for them to eat. If at all there were eggs, they had to share. Similarly, when we go out for meals, she does not like to eat porridge, because in the early days, they had limited resources and they had to cook whatever limited rice that they have into porridge, so that there's more people can eat the porridge. So much so that she does not like porridge at all in her adult life. She's slowly getting out of it, but I eat porridge. I like to eat porridge because I like to add Marmite or Bovril into the porridge, or even salt egg. But I discovered later that my wife loves to eat eggs now because she had a lack and did not have the opportunity to eat eggs. And she does not like to eat porridge now. So there was a scarcity because our parents in that era came from the Japanese World War, and there was very limited food and everybody had to fend for themselves. So with the kind of limited income, the family were living in an atmosphere of inward looking, and sometimes it will also spill into us, because what we learn about that situation, we learn from our parents. They teach us that charity starts at home. We fend for ourselves first. So what does that actually mean? It means a lot of things, but does it carry true for today that charity starts at home? Should we be magnanimous and generous and share as much as we can, especially when we can afford it? When a person is stingy, the person will definitely have relationship issues. He or she may have unresolved hurts or pain that have still somewhere in the cells or the DNA, and the person can often be narrow-minded and definitely insecure. There's always a fear, and there's a tendency to be judgmental. Judgmental meaning whatever people say, they want to be better, they don't want to lose. So at times they get easily upset and even angry. So this stinginess comes from the scarcity, and the behavior can be not trusting on others, will not be able to work in a team, and they always feel that everybody out there is coming to get their money. Whatever it is, they just feel that everybody wants to cheat them. So much so that sometimes they themselves take advantage of others and become manipulative and definitely calculative. I must admit, I am like that. But to what extent, to what degree? I think every single one of us have got this issue of wanting to save for a rainy day, sometimes very inward looking and calculative and even manipulative. and taking advantage of situations. And this will spin off to relationship issues, as I mentioned, because there may be hurts inside us or even anger that has been unresolved. Do we know what they are? Therefore, we need to talk to people, find out more about ourselves, why we are like that, why we behave that way in the era of our money. We have more than enough. Actually, I examine my expenses and my needs on a monthly basis. I don't really need very much in terms of food and survival. And in terms of our business, of course, we have to take care with proper budgeting and wisdom. That is from the business aspect. But sometimes because business owners are also family members, and it overlaps and can create a very gray area that there is no clarity. The personal and the business side can be confused. I did mention that wherever we have or whatever we have right now, we should think of ways of how we open ourselves up to be more liberal and learn new things so that we can grow our financials and be less judgmental. Because many of this judgmentalism or even excuses or even a blame mentality comes from our mindset, and that has been programmed into us for many years ever since we were a child. Can that be taken out and put a new operating system in us? Of course, it can, whether you're willing and whether you're ready or whether you want to. So I mentioned also that my purpose at this moment, at this stage of my life, is to connect with the millennials, the young millennials. They are the people who are very creative, very impactful, and very innovative. We have many things to learn from them. If we, as baby boomers or boomers in short, refuse to update ourselves and change, then who will be the loser? Not only the millennials, we will also be the losers because we do not keep step with new developments and what's really happening in the world. So whatever finances that we have in our bank, we need to learn to be not stingy. We need to learn as to how we can find ways of investing our funds, whatever amount that we have, to let it grow exponentially, because this is an era of great wealth that's being created. Therefore, we need to be aware and need to take advantage of knowing rather than be blind and be blur about what's going on. When I say take advantage, it means you got to be positive. It does not mean to be manipulative. Therefore, friends, share this and ask yourself, what am I actually sharing with you in terms of our degree of stinginess, being miserly or being very unable to part with our money or spend on ourselves, give ourselves a reward which we deserve. We are just keeping the money in the bank. One day we will leave this world, and what's going to happen? In any case, even before we leave this world, many things can happen to our investment portfolio. It is beyond our control. Depends what currency you're holding, and the currency that you have may or has already depreciated. So what currency or what kind of investments would you want to hold, or are you even aware? That is why many people are not doing much or doing any planning, because frankly, they do not know what to do. They think that they know. They put their money in a fixed deposit where they can see the figure There's nothing wrong with it. That's fine. Their needs are simple. At the late stage of their life, they do not want to take risks, which is fair enough. But there are investments where the risk is actually very, very minimal. It is up to you to talk to your financial advisor. But do you even have a financial advisor or a mentor? I come back to this point of, are you stingy or are you a very generous person? Whichever it is, be mindful that your behavior, your character, and your personality will somehow be influenced by the way you think, the value, your belief system about your money, your savings, and your investment ideas. That will determine your character, and that will determine how other people will look at you, view you, and deal with you. Friends, thank you for coming in to listen to my little sharing today. My YouTube channel is a financial intelligence and financial literacy program. It is free for you to subscribe. Please click the subscribe button here and come and join whenever we have new videos uploaded. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Be safe.